You already know what time it is, man. The young goat in the building. Make sure you tune in to True Hill Heat Podcast.
What's up, True Hill Heat? True Hill Heat. What's up? True Hill Heat. All hands is
All right, ready when you are.
Hey guys, I may have go away heat, but these guys have true heel heat. So you better listen to the podcast or else I'm gonna kick you in your fucking cock and balls.
I'll get it.
Hey everybody, it's Tony Schiavone of All Elite Wrestling, and this is True Hill Heat, and I said it right, you motherfuckers.
Yo, what up? You know what it is. It's your boy AJ Francis reporting to you live from New York City, the birthplace of hip-hop. And I'm telling you that I'm only tuned in with True Hill Heat Wrestling. Holla at me.
All right, hello, True Heel Heat. I'm the AEW World Champion MJF. Just in case you're deaf, dumb, blind, stupid, or since you listen to this podcast poor, you're listening to True Heel Heat, and I apologize for that.
Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3. We are back live once again for another X-Men 97 review, this time for Season 1, Episode 7, Bright Eyes. And this is all about the fallout, all about what happened in Genosha. We had the funeral of Gambit. We had Rogue angry and grieving at the same time. We had the X-Men helping out in Genosha, finding some survivors. And you have me, SP3, on my own on this journey for X-Men 97 this week. I am conspicuous by their absence as the other members of the Charles Xavier School for the Gifted Board of Directors, Ness, who I'm not sure where he is. I'm kind of worried. Hope he's not asleep or anything else. So hope he's fine. Hope Ness is fine, and I hope he's just busy. And as far as Wendy, I think she's just having technical difficulties, and I'm sure she will join us shortly, hopefully, for me. But we are back once again with another X-Men 97 review here on the True Hill Heat Sports and Entertainment YouTube channel, as well as the Twitter machine, as well as our Facebook group page. We appreciate y'all if you are joining us live. Appreciate y'all if you are watching this on demand. Remember to show your appreciation back the simplest way possible. Drop the thumbs up on this video. Share this video with all your wrestling or excuse me, all your TV and X-Men friends, everyone that you know that enjoys Marvel, like my co-host here, or my
Hi.
two co-hosts here, Wendy, and introduce our third co-host here yourself.
This is Winnie. This is my sister's dog.
Oh, Winnie!
This is Winnie.
And which X-Men is Winnie's favorite?
Which one is your favorite? Which X-Men is your favorite? Oh, she's
Looks more like
she's
a
looking
Beast
somewhere
fan.
else.
Beast
Beast?
fan.
Huh?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Looks like more like a Beast fan. But yes,
Maybe.
Wendy, we are back for another one. We are talking about episode 7, Bright Eyes. I gave the little introduction of everything that went down. We had Gambit's funeral, we had Rogue on a rampage, and then we got the reveal that, there's been a lot of talk out there among X-Men fans, especially the people watching our reviews. But there's a saying that's becoming norm here on our reviews. I was right. SP3 was right once again. And that son of a bitch, Bastion, is the person who is working with Sinister behind this evil plot. And we don't even know if that's just the start of it, or is these the two that is going to be behind our plot here. And we met Robot Trask, or Sentinel Trask, on this episode. Overall thoughts, everything that they hit you with, because they hit you with a lot here. What did you think about this week's episode?
I thought this week's episode was good. I started, like, honestly, these cliffhangers are like getting me mad because it's like it's just getting me mad because it's like I want to know what happens. Like, what's like, come on, like I want to see more. And then when they hit you with the cliffhanger, it's like, oh, like I don't want to wait till Wednesday to watch it. Like,
I gotta wait all the way to Wednesday morning. Damn.
Yeah. But you know what? But that's the great thing about it, though. It's like it keeps you invested in what's gonna happen next. So that, like, it's, even though like it like you don't want to wait, like you want to see more, but like it's good that they do that, because then it makes you want to, like, okay, I can't wait till Wednesday. I gotta watch it. Like that's the first thing I'm gonna watch. Like, to so it's good. I enjoyed the episode, even though it was about certain somebody and I'm not fond of.
What's with this? Why I thought your unresolved issues with Rogue would be over by now. That you would understand that Remy would not want you to be upset with Rogue.
First of all, Rogue does not deserve Remy anyways, regardless. Like, she don't deserve him. Like, my whole issue with Rogue is like, girl, like you couldn't make up your mind. Like, you had, once again, I say it once and I'll say it again. You had this man that is very devoted to you, that does not care about, like, does not judge you for your powers and does not care, and still wants to be your number one guy. And you don't, and like, because of your fear, you're not willing to commit.
Hey, people have fears that they can't overcome in life. You can't judge her for that.
Well, okay. You're right. I can't judge her for that. But just the fact, like, you're gonna go to, like, not even give Gambit a chance. You're gonna go to Magneto? Like,
well, because she can get some things from Magneto that she can't get from Gambit without killing him.
Okay.
She's horny. See, we've established that Rogue and Gambit are both horny.
Still, he does not deserve her.
Yeah, I mean, you might be right there, but
yeah, and also he's dead. Like, come on, I want to see more of him. He's dead. Like, that's another issue I have.
We don't know yet. We don't know. They have gone back, and maybe they can go back and change this one. I don't know, because it's seeming kind of final. We got a funeral. We usually don't get funerals. We don't usually get funerals if they're gonna come back. Sorry, Gambit fans, but This did seem like a little bit of a final, hate the phrase, nail in the coffin for Gambit as a character. Did you feel like that too watching this episode?
Like final, like it was like we're not gonna
We
see
saw his
Gambit anymore.
funeral. We saw his funeral. I mean, if that was his body was put. Well, they had his body because Rogue had his body at the end of episode 5, so his body went into the ground. Unless they take his body, or imagine that they take his body and make him into a sentinel like they did Trask.
Oh no. Let's hope not. Let's not.
Oh my god, this is great.
Let's hope not. I mean, I'm hoping that won't be the last of Gambit, but you know, I was watching that scene, I was kind of like being optimistic, like, oh, like, you know, maybe they do go back in time and they save him, they prevent that from happening, and you know, he's alive and stuff like that. But I was trying to be optimistic and be positive of the situation.
Hey, we don't know what's about to happen. Episode 8 starts the 3-part finale of the season with extinction. Tolerance is extinction is the name of the 3-part finale, which I think is basically going to be the big plot that Bastion has of making human sentinels. But we're going to see how that goes down. And let's go over what went down in this week's episode before we talk more about it. We open up with the funeral of Gambit. The X-Men are grieving a serious loss. We see a whole bunch of cameos from people from Gambit's past. We got his ex-fiance, Belladonna's there. His brother, I believe his name is Robert, was there as well. So they're all really sad because Remy is dead, and they bury him. At least they didn't have any speaking lines. There was a Helion who didn't have a pass with Gambit, but it was a nice little. She only has like a history in the comics with Wolverine, and if you notice, if you go back and watch the episode during the funeral, Wolverine's like doing a side eye, trying to not make eye contact with her because that's how Wolverine is with his exes. But but yeah, so they're all there for the Gambit's funeral. Everybody's very grieving. Nobody even bothers to mention Magneto though. Like, why doesn't Magneto get a burial? He didn't find his body. That is fair. That is fair. I just thought of that reason. Rogue's not at the funeral, and Jubilee is very angry at her for it. Wolverine says that grieving is a lonely war, and that everybody deals with it in a different way. And Nightcrawler comes in and he says that Jubilee is right to be scared and that she's going through a lot more than just grieving. And we see that Rogue is busy on a rampage at a secret U.S. government facility. She wants to know where Guy Ritchie and Trask are. Meanwhile, we see Scott is begging the UN for help. They're gone a week without finding a new survivor, but even one more could give people hope. But the the government man, Robert Kelly, says that the racial tensions are high and they can't keep helping the mutants because, me helping you people, the voters might look at it differently. And he says, you people. He was like, I'm just stating the unfortunate optics. He says optics because his whole power is that he has unfortunate optics. Double entendre there. So yeah, you had that going on. The Rogue invading the secret U.S. government facility scene was awesome. Animation and action with her just being like almost in a mega level mutant with the powers that she was showing off. She was flying, overpowering them, throwing one tank at another tank, taking over things, flying and drop kicking stuff. She was awesome here, despite your feelings about Rogue. Can you admit that?
I mean, yeah, I would admit to it. Like, shoot, like you said, the graphics, the visuals, like the way the way she was expressing how she was feeling, like I give you that. Like she was great there, and I get it. Like she's a grieving lover, you know.
Grieving lover indeed. So she goes she goes in there, and we see that we got General Ross from the Incredible Hulk movies is the general who's in charge. He says that this facility has been able to keep the Hulk. It's built to keep away the Hulk. So he says that it'll be fine with a mutant from the swamps, and she's just bust in using the freaking facility that Shield had made to keep Incredible Hulk. She used it to break in, toss it in and break it in. And she says that her father always told her that it was harder to break out of prison than to break into prison. So here I am. And then she just bodies General Ross, gets the information where she could try to find Guy Rich, and she finds out that a new department or new government agency has taken Guy Ridge into their custody. So so then we go back to the Robert Kelly and Cyclops. So because he said the optics thing, Cyclops hangs up on him. He starts venting to Jean, saying that how he let his guard down, and he says never again, like Magneto. Then Jean talks about how she tries to tell him that no one could have predicted this, and Scott points out that Magneto did. So we see slowly but surely Cyclops is leaning further and further into Magneto's way of thinking here. He said he warned them repeatedly, and now he's gone, and so is Madeline. Jean sympathizes and talks about how after losing Storm, having something like a sister felt comforting. Yes, just like a sister that you bang the same guy.
Yeah, when she
Both
said
in real
that.
life and in their head.
Yeah, like when she said that, I'm like comforting. Like you talking about like having a sister that looks like you, is basically your twin, has sex with your man,
Yep.
husband, and then have a baby.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Yep. That's comforting. Cool.
Okay.
The team heads to Genosha to help out.
It's weird.
Amelia is one of the staff helping out at the triage, and she talks to Beast. Beast tells her that a bit before basically ditching her for Trish. But she has a nice line where she says that, everybody talks about wanting to be a survivor, but when you see one just off the belt, she was like, that's something that I would never want to be, and she starts crying. But yeah, Beast ditches her because Trish Dilly, his comic book chick that he's trying to bang here in this series, she shows up, and Trish shoos away the camera so she could speak to a grieving Hank alone, and they hold hands, and she says, do you want to talk? Would you like that? He says, yeah. He's like, I want you to touch my blue penis. Meanwhile, Rogue meets up. We got a cameo here because we got General Ross. General Ross was one cameo, but a big cameo. We got one of the Avengers, the leader of the Avengers. Captain America is here, and is voiced by the same guy that voices him in What If. So that's hey, we're getting some crossover here, little by little. They're at a secret base in the snowy mountains. What appears to be a cabin is actually a secret facility with a large workstation underneath. Caps explains that the Avengers are waiting for Hellion to appear too. They want to recruit him. In the meantime, though, they're trying to appeal to the mutant demo by helping with the Gyrish situation. He'd be tracking the guy, but a covert division of the UN had him secretly transferred out. This was their base before they fled, and they had a whole bunch of computers that said OZT. So it's Operation Zero Tolerance. That's from the comic books, and that's the ones that basically an agency that was created by Bastion. Cap was at least able to track Gyrich's location to a facility in Mexico City. So once he gets clearance, he and his team, he keeps saying on his team, but I just put in my notes, I think he's talking about the Avengers. He's talking about the event. We may get a X-Men versus Avenger, not this season, but next season. I think we
Yes.
may get X-Men Avengers in this series. So he says that the Avengers are going to go after him. But Rowe points out that the covert division should be dealt with before they disappear again. So they should go now. Captain America wants to go through proper channels since he's a guy dressed in an American flag, and him rushing into the facility, immediately busting heads and breaking the law sends a bad message. Rogue says that the message is that he stands with mutants, but Cap still wants to do things by the book, as Rogue called him. He's like, he's the most famous cop. It's like, yo, you just called him an op? Rogue wild for that one. I was like, I like you, Rogue. I like you, Rogue. You speaking like you from the hood of New Orleans. All right, I hear you. Yeah, and a rage Rogue said Cap says my hands are tied because he wants to do things by the books. He says, since your hands are tied, you don't need this, and straight up does him like a freaking bully, like a bully that's taller than you, and tosses his frisbee, his freaking shield, freaking into the mountains, into the snowy damn mountains.
Damn.
I was like, yo, Rogue is a menace in this episode.
She's savage. She don't care.
I loved it. I love the exchange. This was Captain America, how I would imagine him to be, and he's appeared before in the X-Men series with a flashback with Wolverine, him working in the war with Wolverine in season 5. He was also in prior season as well. And so glad to see him here, and he looks like he's been in some fights with either Wolverine or Black Panther at this point because his shield was all scratched up. But what did you think about the whole back and forth between Cap and Rogue?
Oh, I thought it was great. It was like when I saw Captain America, I was so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, like they're literally putting the MCU and X-Men together. I was so excited. And it was like they gave you a little taste of like, oh, what's to come? Like, oh, like they're really gonna try to do this whole merge MCU. So I was excited to see Cap, and then not just Cap, but like, like when you have the cameo with General Ross, like, they gave you a little taste, like, so I was excited. The exchange between them was, it was great. Like freaking, as much as I don't like Rogue, like I don't blame her for feeling that type of way. I don't blame her for feeling like that, because she lost her man. Well, both of them. She lost both of them. So she's grieving, and she wants to destroy anything or everything that that made her lose both lovers. So and when he and just how she acted with Captain, I'm like, and how Captain is, it's so like how Captain is in the movies.
Yeah.
Like that's basic. Like they literally portrayed him exactly how he is in the live action movie. Like straight, like, we got to do this by the book. And, like if you're talking about Scott being like a Boy Scout, like,
oh, you ain't seen a Boy Scout until you met Captain America.
Yeah, like he's like the ultimate, like he's the captain of the Boy Scouts. Like
Captain Boy Scout,
example.
yes.
Yeah, Captain Boy Scout.
Where's the slander for that? Power Driver finisher, call him Captain Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
What are you talking about? We got Frantic World. He says almost everyone in this season are in a messy relationship. That is true.
That's true.
I was going to talk about the next one too. We got Power Driver finisher. He says the mutant demo. Damn, they looking at the ratings too. Absolutely, everyone looks at the demo, man. Got to see if you in the 18 to 49 mutant demo. That's the key demo that's buying all the merchandise and stuff, because they got to flee for their lives. Frantic World says we need Black Panther to pop up next in X-Men 97. I wouldn't mind if it's T'Challa's dad. Would not mind.
Oh,
that would be great.
That would be great. Yeah, I'm honestly just like him Captain bringing up his team, like just like, I gotta get like the team ready or whatever. I'm honestly excited just because like, if they're gonna bring the whole MCU world together with X-Men, I wouldn't mind if they do it for next season.
Yeah. Yeah,
Like
because I
I
mean, this season really has a focus. Like we had the key point of the season that really
mhm,
shifted things with what happened in Genosha, and that really has
mhm.
the focus of what's going to go down in this 3-part finale. So you could save that stuff for next season because
Right.
we still haven't even seen Apocalypse this season.
Mhm. Yeah, he's been talked about, but like we haven't seen him physically, you know, um this season. So, I mean, if they're going to do that, then, maybe like wait, like save it for the next for the next season, you know?
Yeah. And I also think that Magneto, when he's able to return, as we saw him physically return here, but the world hasn't seen it yet. I think that he is gonna be a villain either by mind control
Mhm.
or by his own volition of just being pissed off because he's in this situation.
Mhm. It's
So
possible.
there's a lot of stories that they got for season 2 already, with 3 episodes left
Mhm.
in season 1.
Yeah.
So back on Genosha, we got plot. So how we broke down season episode 5 was there was the main plot of everything going on in Genosha and what was going on at the X Mansion with the interview with Trish. This episode there was 3 plots. You have the A plot, which was Rogue on a rampage. You have the B plot, which is the X-Men helping out in Genosha, and then we were introduced to the C plot, which was Jubilee and Sunspot, and they were helping out with the recovery when a strong guy tells them that a war is coming, which spooks Sunspot. He asks Jubilee if that's really true. Jubilee says that her step parents are worried as well, and they haven't talked to her in months, but they called her and she had to tell them not to worry. She tells Sunspot that he should tell his mom because what if they were there and he'd be on Genosha during the attack? What if instead of hearing that he's a mutant from her own son, she hears about it on the news when he's listed as
Mhm.
a fatality? She'd be left burying a stranger, basically. This finally convinces Sunspot to come out to his mom, at bit with Jubilee's help, as he asks her for her help, and she says, "Duh." Meanwhile, Trish and Beast are debating the merits of mutants rioting in the streets as a form of protest. Beast is pro it. He says he can understand how they feel, but Trish says that goes against what they really want. Beast says that Hellion would be a pro. Trish has no idea who that is, and Beast dismisses her because she doesn't get it. But no, I'm just kidding. Um, no, he basically they get into the whole debate about whether that's the right way to go about things, and he says that Charles's dream shouldn't have been about trying to get your tolerance, and he says that I've spent enough of your tolerance, I will leave now. So
Damn.
that ended poorly. No touching of the blue penis. What did you think about the Trish
Um,
and Beast conversation, as well as Jubilee and Sunspot?
with Jubilee and Sunspot, like, the fact that it took it took this time for him to finally like just realize like, okay, I need to tell my parents. I'd rather tell them than have them find out. Like I think it's, I think it's anything that happens in real life, especially like, in reality, like with people coming out, it's something like they have this fear of like, I don't know, like I'm scared of telling my parents. I don't know how they're gonna react or whatever, and they're like, I'd rather tell them rather than them hearing it from somebody else. It's
Instead of being
they're
outed by someone else.
right, exactly. So it's like, they once again they continuously bring that part of reality into the show. And I think, it's great. And to have Jubilee as like his support system, like when he asked her, like, oh, like, would you come? And she's like, well, duh. Like, of course, like you definitely need that support system. Like, like she's there for him, basically. And the whole Trish and Beast conversation, like I feel like she was I don't know. I feel like she's
I think
trying,
she
like,
meant well.
yeah,
She
but I
meant
think her
well in the
wording,
conversation, yeah, but her wording was
like,
poor.
her wording wasn't right. Like, wasn't. I think the way she worded things was like, for him, it got him upset, and it's like, I think maybe some part of him was like, okay, like she understands, like she's trying to be understanding to like their cause and how they feel and what they really want, but like I guess the way she worded the things, it was just like, okay, you don't really understand. Like, I need
He's
you to
like, I'm
go.
not with this. Yeah, he's like,
Like, I need you to go. Like, go away. So, but I thought it was
but
awesome.
he was nice enough when she showed up. He closed the curtain so she couldn't
Mm-hmm.
see the victims because he was like,
Yeah.
I don't want y'all to take advantage of these victims. So Beast is looking out.
Yeah. Yeah. Or like have pity on us,
That is also true. Yeah, they
you
don't want
know.
that.
Yeah, like all of a sudden, like you see these people that are recovering and that were injured and stuff, and like you don't, like, they don't want them to be like, oh, like, like, we're here for you and stuff like that. Like, we don't want your pity. So for him to close that is,
Yeah.
like being respectful,
But I just love the fact that everyone on this team has a story or a side story of their
Mm-hmm.
own. I guess who does it? Guess who's the only person who really does it? That doesn't involve someone else on the team. Wolverine, the person that has
Oh.
always been the spotlight hog of the movies, the live action movies. They have basically this season, 7 episodes in, made him the background player. Like it's either him or Morph.
Oh yeah. Well, but
He's
I
really like
mean,
there's that, but that's like underneath, that's underlined. Like it was only like vaguely mentioned in the Goblin Queen episode, but there's like he
yeah,
has
it's
the
like a
whole
little
love
bit.
triangle, but he's like the third biggest thing in the Jean Cyclops story. Like
Mm-hmm.
he's involved in that story, but he doesn't have anything going on himself. You can't have
No,
like you
that's
can
true.
literally like at this point of the season, like going off from just this episode, you could do an episode of just Jubilee and Sunspot with how the mom is reacting and what
Mm-hmm.
they do as far as hiding Sunspot's mutant ability. You could do an episode on that. You could do an episode on Rogue still grieving and being angry and a different side of her. You could do an episode on Cyclops, and him really going to more of a like a Magneto way of thinking instead of a
Mm-hmm.
Charles Xavier, and he's always been kind of the key example of Charles Xavier. You could do a Jean episode of how she feels after losing a clone and still trying to remember everything and who she can choose to the love of her life. Does she want to continue on with Scott? Like I did all of that. I cannot tell you what they would do for a Wolverine episode other than stuff acknowledging from the animated series because they have not done anything this season for you to say, oh, they could do a Wolverine episode. You can even do a Beast episode of him going out on a date with Trish Dilly and how they are a couple
Mm-hmm.
and stuff like that. You could do one on Morph, how he still is controlled by Mr. Sinister, and now he's kind of like a inside track in the X-Men for Mr.
Mm-hmm.
Sinister as they go against him. But you can't do anything really because
Well,
unless it involves Jean or Scott with Wolverine.
yeah.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's great. I
Yeah.
love it, but it's crazy.
Yeah, it's like, you know what? It's like it's different though because everyone expects like especially when you're talking about X-Men, everyone expects like, oh, they're gonna be an episode about Wolverine. Like it's gonna like Wolverine's gonna be the forefront of the series. Like he's gonna be like the main guy, right? But then when
But
they
if you
don't really
ever read the comic books, it was never like that.
No, but what I'm saying, like, it's what I'm saying is like, people have this expectation, like, oh, like it's gonna be like, Wolverine's gonna be the main guy. Like they're gonna show a lot about him. They're gonna have a storyline for him on every like it's gonna be about Wolverine, whatever. But then when they don't, but then with this series, like they don't have him really, and he's like more like you said, he's more of the background. It's like, oh wow, like it's not. They're basically showing like, okay, let's bring stories about other characters, you know. And that's refreshing in a way, you know?
It really is. And I think
Yeah.
that's why it's so popular, because it's
Mm-hmm.
such a different take. Because I think the animated series is where to me in my eyes, how I remember it as a kid, the popularity of Wolverine kind of skyrocketed after the animated series. Because the
Mm-hmm.
animated series, there would be the side quest episodes of Wolverine goes to Canada and he goes in a fight with Sabretooth, and we meet the love of his life, this Lady Deathstrike, and he's fighting with her. And then he has the little moments in the group episodes, like when he's losing his faith and Nightcrawler helps him find his faith and have a connection to God. And then he has his little moments where he's looking at the picture, and that becomes a meme of Jean and
Mm-hmm.
Scott. So that's where the popularity of Wolverine, I think, really skyrocketed. And then the movies was just an adaptation of that popularity from the animated series. They made the movies, and then they made Wolverine the main character of that, and then they never knew how to tell the story with anyone else besides Wolverine, Charles Xavier, and Magneto. That's all the main movies, the live action movies. The vast majority, I would say 95% of them, are about those three guys.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then to have this, it's like the opposite. Like they literally did a 180. They're like, oh, we're not gonna do that. We're gonna go this different. We're gonna go to this route and just bring stories to about other characters that you don't expect, you know, that you didn't see in the other shows and stuff like that. So they're
Oh
smart. They're smart. People people that created the show, y'all smart.
Y'all smart. Y'all smart, y'all.
Yeah.
We love it. We love it. Frantic
Hmm.
Girl says we need Black Panther to pop up next in X-Men 97. He also says, I don't know when season 3 of What If is coming out, but Storm is going to be in that season with Thor's hammer. I just hope that it's probably like, I want it to be close to the design of this Storm, the
Hmm.
Storm in this series.
Yes.
And and then that's something that we didn't even address in this episode. There was no follow up on Storm, her discovering what happened in Genosha. There was
Mm.
no follow up on Charles Xavier and him
Yes.
finding out what happened in Genosha. So we still have that to come with this 3-part finale.
Hmm.
I need Storm's return to the X-Men to be epic. I need her
Yes.
to come in like freaking it's WrestleMania 40 again, and it's time to throw on all the baby faces coming to make the save for Cody.
Mm.
I need Charles Xavier come up in the wheelchair, floating up with Leandra, putting them up and controlling people's powers, and then they think, oh, they still overwhelmed, and then Storm. Show them the
That
forecast.
You know, that whole part is gonna be such a mind screw up for them. Like they're like everything that they believe in, like they're gonna realize everything they believe in was a lie. Like they still think to this day Charles is dead.
Well, no, the
So
X-Men don't. The X-Men know he went to the other planet. But
oh this
that's what Bastion was talking about. No one else does. The X-Men
oh
know this, but no one
oh
else
my
knows that Charles is in that other planet.
oh never mind, I take that back. Well, okay,
They
so
do.
basically the world itself, they think he's
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah.
So like that, like once the world sees them, I think it's gonna be more like their backs are gonna get turned, like they're gonna turn their backs against X-Men. Like, oh, like you guys are liars. Everything that you guys say like are lies. Like, you
Yep.
know, it's gonna be such an epic 3-part episode, and I am all for it.
I cannot wait either. We got next up we had Guy Ritchie. He's being held at a facility which is basically a glorified resort. And Rogue mentions this. He seems to have free reign. He's freaking studying butterflies. He busts some Rogue busts some heads of the security and finds Guy Ritchie. He has telepathic protection now. He says that Jean that tells Cyclops or tell Mr. Summers that his wife can't get in his head ahead now. They won't work on their upcoming enemy. He was like, it won't work on him. And Rogue says that she has a different type of probe, and she opts to use her powers, taking off her glove and sucking the life out of Guy Ridge and getting the information that way. She then passes out. We see when she takes takes the information from Guy Ridge, that we see a flash of a man, a purple man, and we see a
Mhm.
flash of Nimrod, which is Bastion. Bastion is a combination of the villain Nimrod that was in the animated series and a human that came together, and it's basically a super powered human sentinel that can basically destroy anything that they can. But he is a smart one because he has this whole plot figured out, and he's been one step ahead of the X-Men and the mutants this entire time.
Mhm.
So back on Genosha, Jean and Cyclops are going through the ruins of the big temple. They hope to find even one survivor, with Scott hoping to find Madeline. Jean's left reeling with the psychic echoes left by all the pain and suffering, unfulfilled dreams, lost futures, missed opportunities, and lack of closure, all of which are on repeat. She says that the lack of closure reminds her of them. Seeing Scott, we got Scott apologizing to Jean, and he says not just for this, but for everything with Madeline. The two talk a bit and kind of talk about their feelings for one another and what they've been through before Jean falls to her knees, sensing some sort of telepathic presence. As soon as he says that it's a telepath, Scott says, "Yo, fuck you. There goes your twin," and runs after it.
Of course. I was like, damn, dude.
You ain't even
Like,
wait,
shit.
homie. You ain't even
Like,
pick up.
damn.
You ain't even help her
Damn.
up.
Yeah, like you apologize to the girl, and the next thing you know, you're like, oh, wait, is the like you feel a telepathic presence? Oh, it's Madeline. Oh, bye. I'm like, well, damn. I was like, of course, like you're so eager to find Madeline. Like, Jesus Christ, bro.
He's a fiend for Madeline. You want that Madeline?
Yeah, he
Actually,
does.
no. It's not Madeline. It's Emma Frost. She underwent a second mutation and entered into her diamond form to keep herself alive. She said that she's always been good under pressure. Morph calls the gang back to the Blackboard just as Scott is crying, and Gene wipes his tear, and they have a moment. But Morph calls them back because they have a message from Bolivar's Trask. Trask says that he is more remorseful for what has happened, and he tells them that Sinister is behind this. They should meet him at the UN Peace Legion in Matterport, which will be cleared for them. Meanwhile, we get Jubes and Sunspot. They are going to Sunspot's family to come out to them. But what did you think about them discovering Emma Frost and seeing Diamond form Emma Frost for the first time in X-Men 97?
Well, I know Cyclops he felt disappointed. He was like, once they found Emma, he's like, oh, well, we have a survivor, but ain't the survivor you wanted, you know? And I know them tears, like, talking about how he was crying because he's happy, like, oh, like we have, like they have a survivor. I was like, nah, you're just crying because it's not Madeline. Like you meant, like it's because it wasn't Madeline.
You want that
But
Madeline. You want that
yeah,
Madeline. You want that
like,
Goblin. You want that Goblin.
yeah, like, bro, chill out. Like, it's like he's addicted to her. Like, he's like, oh, I need her. Like Frantic or sorry, he's acting like a F boy right now.
Facts. It is true.
Like,
I
it's
can't. I can't.
true. Like,
You out here
damn.
looking desperate, bruh. What's going on,
Yeah.
man?
But seeing Emma Frost and her like second mutation, I was like, oh, like she looks good. I guess this is like what the first time that they show because they don't show her like in this form in the other in the animated.
I'm not. I don't think they did in the animated series. If I'm not mistaken, I don't think they did.
Okay, so like this is the first. So like she looks shiny and sparkly, and I guess that was like her way of surviving.
Yeah.
So it's good that she, she used that and stuff.
Fact.
And then what was the other question you asked?
No. What did you think about her diamond form, and then
Oh,
Scott's reaction, and then we got Trask, who tells them where to meet them, and he gives them a little tip on when they get to the Legion, saying that the soda machine in the lobby,
yeah.
it always has
Doesn't
what's it
diet.
called? Diet. Yeah,
No,
it always has
diet
diet.
soda. It never goes out of diet soda. I'm like, I mean, it's like he's helping them, but it's
Yeah,
like still, it's like you can't really fully trust this man because it's like
exactly,
why
because they were
why are you
helping.
helping?
He was helping them for a
Yeah,
reason.
yeah, like there was a reason why. So it's like, should we fully trust them? But yeah, I mean, I think overall, like every scene that pops up, every scene that they showed was like really good. I just feel like Scott needs to chill out. He needs to relax.
I agree. Meanwhile, we get Jubes and Sunspot ignore the mission to go to Brazil and see Sunspot's mom. Sunspot comes out to her almost immediately, right after Jubes says, "We're gonna ease into it. We're gonna do a little small talk." He says, "Mom, I'm a mutant." He said it so fast he couldn't even get the words out. "Mom, I'm a
Mm-hmm.
mutant." She's relieved and states that she always knew her baby was a mutant. She said, "Thank God." Mother's intuition. Also, 4 of their homes burned down after his 16th birthday, and he lost a yacht. She and his father agreed not to force him out, but to let Sunspot come sell his secret when he was ready to share it. And I was like, oh, that's sweet. They're glad he could share it now, and that he had someone like Jubilee to help him. They love and accept him. Well, sort of, except they
Mm-hmm.
still want him to stop hanging out with the X-Men and stay in the closet while he's in public, since all the mutant and human tensions make having a mutant son a PR nightmare. Anyway, anyone want some Spincers?
It's like, what? I'm like, see, so that part itself, like when he finally like told her and she just like, oh yeah, I've been you. I was, that's like like I said, going back to like when you're coming out to your parents and like you're so scared and you don't know how they react. You don't know if they're gonna like shun you, condemn you, kick you out. Like you don't know how they're gonna react, right? But you always have that thought in your head, like, okay, it's gonna get really bad, right? And then when you finally go and come out and they're like, "Oh, we been you. We accept you. Like, we been you. We was just waiting for you to tell us." Like
Yeah,
it's like that's like almost not every parent, but like, very those are like supportive parents and those are the type of parents that you love to have. Like every kid that's coming out or whatever, like they love to have. But also at the same time, you're supported, but then it's like you still want like they still want his like their son to like not fully show who he really is and
yeah.
show
It
to
was
the
like
world like
we accept that you're gay, but we also want you to have a
yeah.
girlfriend.
Yeah, so it's like one of those like it's like one of those and it messes with your head cuz you're like are y'all really really supported or like y'all not really like or they're still afraid of what the public might think,
Yeah, letting other people kind of dictate how they live.
Right,
And
exactly.
you never want that feeling, especially when you go through the kind of the struggle and the difficulty, the obstacle of coming out and saying how you really feel and saying who you really are, and then you get that type of response. It's like, I don't know if that's the
It
best for your psyche.
right. It's like it's like you have parents that accept you, but then they're so scared of like the generation before them. Especially like if you have like especially like you have relatives from like I don't know, like the 1930s or like 40s or 50s or whatever. Like like
Yeah.
they're so they so have this way of thinking and this is how they grew up and this is what this is the morals that they learn and stuff like that. And
I know
it's
people our age that are just
yeah,
were brought up by those people and just keep
right.
those values to this day. So
Mhm. Yeah. It once again, they're making it very relatable to modern day life, you know? And that's the thing. That's the thing that I love about the show. It's like they do these little things, and it's makes you be related. Like there's definitely a person out there that relates themselves to Sunspot and like the struggles that he's going through, you know. So that's the thing that I love about the show.
So back in Mexico City, Rogue has been saved by Nightcrawler. Rogue is feeling down, but Nightcrawler is there to support her during her grief. And she says that, oh, you really hit the jackpot with the adopted sister who cries over losing a boy. And he says, well, no, she's crying over losing two boys.
Two.
And I was like, yo, Nightcrawler. Oh man, he's dropping bars right now. And he says that it wasn't her fault that Gambit or Magneto died. He says that she wasn't responsible for them dying. She was responsible for helping them live. And that breaks her down. She starts crying in her brother's arms. And then she turns around and she realizes that she's not alone, that she has family. As the X-Men are standing there, you know, you got Jean, who has a hand on her sister's kind of like shoulder, comforting her. And then you have Wolverine and Morph, who are slitting up like a freaking magazine. What are you doing, Wolverine? This ain't a rap fucking cover. This ain't a mixtape cover. Yo, you go back and watch that scene. Watch how he was standing and freaking Morph on Wolverine's shoulder like, that is not how normal people stand. When people turn around and you greet your friend who is there to comfort, who's grieving, they're standing there like they on a freaking video shoot. It's a video shoot. It's a photo shoot. Wolverine posing. I had that in my notes, yo. I freeze frames that. I didn't take the picture. I've been laying off doing pictures for the show. Just been going more of the discussion here. But man, I just had man, that was a good one. That's had me. I was like, yo, this dude is standing here like it's a rap concert. Meanwhile, Guy Ritchie is recovering from his attacks, barely breathing, and is requiring an oxygen mask. He is greeted by a pink or purple skinned man who is annoyed that Guy Ritchie nearly ruined his surprise. The man smothers Guy Ritchie to death. Hey, good job. Good job. Good job. You did something good, at least. The team with Rogue, Sane's kids, head to the United Nations building in Madripoor, where they find that all of the guards were knocked out with sleeping gas. Using a clue Trask gave them, you get Morph, who goes over and discovers a secret passageway that leads them into a lab. He says the soda machine always has diet. And they go in a lab. They take the elevator, and we get a nice little scene, a freeze frame of Morph drinking the soda in the elevator with everybody surrounding them, and there's not much room to move. The lab is full of high-tech cybernetic robots on display, far and far more advanced than anything they've seen before. There are more unconscious guards. Rogue notes how they all have the same OZT logo on as the guards in the facility in Mexico, and on the screens is in that mountain facility. They spot Trask on the roof about to jump. He laments about how he only meant to protect normal people, but he has become death. Rogue wants to know what OZT stands for, and Morph realizes that the people behind these robots are building a new type of Sentinel, and Trask confirms this and says that it will be worse than what they saw in Genosha. Trask doesn't want Sinister to make him even more of a monster than he already is, so he attempts to jump to his death when Rogue saves him, saying that if he really wants to help, he could be on the good side. They still need to use any information he can provide them. But Trask apologizes. He says he has nothing else he can share with them. He has nothing. And Rogue says, "Same, sugar," and drops them. I was like, "Oh shit! Oh, she's a murderer now. Oh shit! You lose one boy, you start killing people. Oh, that's crazy. That's crazy, y'all. Like even Morph is like, is this who we become now?" But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Cyclops didn't like disparage her. He didn't say like he was like, wait, no. He didn't say don't do it. He didn't like he didn't Morph was like, is this who we are now? Cyclops didn't ask that question. Wolverine was like, everybody else wanted to do it.
Yeah. Like no one said anything. No one stopped her or anything like that. Like no one tried to stop her. They just let her drop him.
No one tried to go save him. These
Exactly.
are Morph could turn into Quicksilver. We would see it mere minutes later that he can turn into Quicksilver. So that means that he can get Trask before he falls. But he ain't even think about doing that. He said, "Fuck that guy," Fuck him.
Yeah.
Fuck. Is this who we are? How about you just become Quicksilver? That's who you could become.
Yeah, he could turn into anybody, and he could have easily like rescued him.
He was like, fuck that dude.
Yeah.
He was like, he created Sentinels. Fuck him.
Exactly.
So there, she drops him. You get the questions from everybody. You get Wolverine being like, "Shit, I would have done the same thing." His body, but Trask's body then descends through the air until he hits the ground. The X-Men are horrified and disapprove, except for Wolverine. Like I said before, Jean approves too. She didn't even try to stop Rogue from doing this when she showed minutes later that she can just, with her mind, get the body. She could have got the body and saved this from happening. Rogue is unrepenting as she looks at the group, she looks at the team, and she says that he did that to Remy. He took my man. I was like, oh, go ahead, Rogue. She got the extra New Orleans in her voice when she's like, my man.
Girl, oh my gosh. When she said that line, I was like, oh, now he's your man. Now he's your man. After he's like risked his life and he like protected you. Bitch, now that's your man. Oh. Okay. Go ahead.
She did what we all wanted to do. That's what Wolverine said.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, yeah. She said, my man. I was like, oh, I know Wendy's gonna feel a certain way about that.
I do. I was like, oh, now that's your man. Fucking, oh gosh, like all of a sudden now that's your man. That's who you're claiming. You're claiming him now, but you wasn't claiming him before.
Points were made. That is valid. She's claiming him now, post-death. I mean, anyway, Trask's body was made into a Super Sentinel Corpse hybrid. Robot programming now takes over, and he immediately starts wailing on the X-Men. He has to destroy all the mutants. So he just explodes the whole building. So it starts breaking down. So we get Wolverine like, guys, he's like trying to hold on with the claws. No one thinks to help Wolverine. Cyclops and Jean are worried about getting the debris. So he goes down Cyclops while Jean starts flying and getting all the debris. She throws the fucking building into the water. I was like, the poor fishes. But I was like, God damn, Jean, you are fucking beast mode. You are Omega. You are Omega, because you took the whole building before it fell on anybody and tossed that shit over there. So all the X-Men come down. They start fighting with robot Sentinel Trask. Trask is just beast mode. We get Morph first, turns into Quicksilver. He starts going beat. Yo, Morph can be anything. Why doesn't Morph just be Galactics and just snap off and just kill everybody? Yo, if Morph can do anything, yo, how Morph can become Quicksilver? I was like, when did Quicksilver get here? I was like, I didn't
Right.
remember. I was like, yo, sometimes these Morph transformations happen so fast. I'm very confused. I'm like, when did Quicksilver get here? Oh, that's
Right.
right.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, like what? To be honest, I thought it was like I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was like members of the Avengers coming. I was like, oh, is it the Avengers? Like, oh, like I thought they were all gonna come one by one.
You thought it was the Avengers because we got mentioned that earlier.
Yeah. I was like, oh, but then then realizing it was Morph, I was like, oh, okay. I was like, oh, it's him.
It's when Trask punches him and he turns back into Morph, and Wolverine says, "Morph, no!"
Yeah. Oh, he's
I
so
swear, that's one of Wolverine's catchphrases at this point. He stay seeing Morph just get straight mollywopped and saying, "Morph, no!" And then he starts fighting Trask. Him and Beast get punched out by Trask. Then we get Jean goes at him and he beats up Jean. And then Cyclops puts on the blasters on him. And dude just walks up to Cyclops, grabs homie's face. He's like, you remember what my inferior self told you. He's like, we are gonna not be left behind. Now you're gonna be the ones left behind. But they're finally saved. Cyclops is finally saved by his son, Cable. Cable comes through with an electromagnetic cluster grenade to shut him down, shut Robot Sentinel Trask down. The others are confused as to how Cable got here. Cyclops says, Cable, what are you doing here? Jean reads his mind almost immediately, hearing probably the psychic message that Madeline left behind for him. She sees that this is actually Nathan, and she's like, wait, it couldn't be. Cable dismisses her. He says, get up my head. You're not her. I love that. I was like, get up my head, bitch. You ain't my mom. He's also not here for a tearful reunion as Cyclops finally realizes that Cable is his son Nathan. He calls him Nathan. He's like, I'm not here for the reunion, Dad. He's like, I don't fuck with you, Dad, who said he wasn't gonna abandon me and then abandoned me. Cyclops, you a shitty father. I think I'm getting closer to Power Driver finisher side. The way Cyclops been acting with Madeline and then being a shitty father, you got nothing to be sad about. Why you care if your son went away? You abandoned him.
Exactly. After you said you wasn't going to, you still did it. So
I agree, Power Driver finisher. Cable coming in, that was a nice little save. I popped for that. I was on my couch.
Same.
I was like, yeah, Cable.
Like, same. I think I said it before. I was just like, oh, like I want to see more Cable. Like I want to, like I want to see more of him and just see what he does,
But this is the first time, because throughout the animated series, we saw Cables from like season 1 on, but they never revealed that he was Scott and Jean Grey's son. So this was the first time.
Right.
Cable dismisses her, and then he's not here for a Tifa reunion. He says that they need to act now. He says Sinister is involved, but he's working with someone much, much bigger. And finally, after weeks of teases, Bastion is here. The Nimrod human sentinel. And this is a great point that I wanted to point out here that I took note of. That Bo DeMaio, the creator of X-Men 97, they now departed from the Disney Plus series. He said that this Bastion reveal has been teased in almost every episode except for episode 3. So he said in episode 1, when Jean has the flash, reads Guy Ritchie's mind, there's a flash of a child with a purple Crayola crayon. That's Bastion. At the party in Genosha, right before the whole bombing happens, there's a man that walks across the screen before Magneto enters the gala. That was Bastion. he was there at the party. In episode 2, when the UN is meeting about Magneto, about what to do with Magneto, he's sitting with Cooper. So now I believe, I've been saying this for weeks, since like episode 1. I think Cooper is Mystique. Now I think Mystique is working with them, is working with Bastion and Sinister. And now it makes sense, because episode 5, go back to episode 5, when we see Cooper. We see Cooper when the bombing happens. She's directing mutants out, and those mutants are almost immediately being destroyed and shot by the Sentinel. So she's leading mutants into getting shot. She's working with them this whole time. I thought that it was Mystique as Cooper helping Magneto, but this whole time she's been helping Sinister and Bastion.
That makes sense. I mean, I always felt like Cooper, like, I don't know, I always felt like she had like some ulterior motive. Like she had an agenda, but we just don't know what it was. But see what you're saying, it makes sense. And then I guess like when you go back to those scenes, you're like, oh, like, yeah, like she's working for the bad guys. Like she's working for Bastion and Mr. Sinister.
Yeah. It's very, very interesting. And yes, I called it last week that Bastion was coming. I was like, it can't be just Sinister. It can't be just Sinister. And I
No.
didn't think that that Gable was talking about Sinister either. I thought he was talking about Bastion, and here he is. We cut to Sinister and Bastion discussing things. Bastion basically he says, "Oh, are you impressed with what I've been doing to Sinister?" And he says, "Impressed that you let your whole plan be revealed." He says that little foray between the X-Men and Trask was just strategic practice for what the bigger plan is. And he basically dismisses every X-Men enemy of old for failing since 1992. I love that they mentioned 1992 because that was the start of the original series. Sinister reminds Bastion that he was one of those villains once, and Bastion agrees because Bastion was Nimrod. He was one of the X-Men villains of the past in Nimrod. Bastion says, but states that unlike them, he's evolved. Now he's a human and a Sentinel. Also, his guys recovered an alien satellite that the X-Men used to chat with the Shi'ar, and they have footage of Leandra announcing her engagement with Charles Xavier. Now the Xavier this world thought is dead is now confirmed alive, whose assassination led to all the recent mutant sympathy in the first place. Yeah, revealing this to the world would make the mutants out to be big liars selling an even bigger lie. So Bastion is just like, he's like got all his cards, his dominoes in set, and then he says that he has an even bigger trump card. And then we cut to him showing up at some cabin or some place out in a distant location, and he has Magneto tied to a chair with an inhibitor collar around him, and he explains that like metal, you have to make it soft, you have to make it hot so it's able to be smoothed out. And he starts cutting and shaving Magneto, as Magneto has the grizzles because he's been trapped here for however long it's been since the Genosha bombing. This dude Bastion, they made him in this episode just look like the overwhelming biggest villain the X-Men will ever face. He's got Magneto as his bitch.
Yes. Oh my
Magneto
God.
as your bitch. After they built up Magneto this whole season, that was like, yo, that's how you introduce a big bad. Is you have him take someone who is also a big bad and just make him his bitch.
Right? He's so like calm, cool, collected. You know?
The voice actor is so good.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
so good. His voice just sounds so evil and so manipulative. Oh, it's so great.
But he doesn't like, it's like you can't get a his like you can't really get much of a reaction. Like, you know, like how like you get angry and stuff like that. Like you could tell with the voice. With him, it's like you can't piss, like, you know, he doesn't react. So it's like very cool, very like, it's so villainous. And it kind of gives me I don't know, like hearing him reminds me of I don't want to say completely, but it gives me very like Ultron from like the Avengers.
Oh, yeah, I can
Like
see that. I
like
can see that
very
with
like,
the voice too. Yeah.
yeah, like very Ultron from the Avengers, like just like the way he was talking, and it was just like, you know, like when Mr. Sinister asked him, like, you know, the fact, like, oh, like your plan, like, you know, like they reveal your plan, whatever, and he's like he's not worried about it, like he puts all his cards on the table, and it's like he, you know, he's not worried about what's, you know, what's gonna happen, like, you know, like he's smart, and he said himself, he was like, oh, I evolve. So it's very like very Ultron-esque
Yeah.
vibe that
Yeah,
I
I get
got from him.
Power Driver getting what you're saying, like not the voice, but the way of speaking. Yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah. I agree. I agree with you. I get what we're saying immediately because, like, all the other X-Men villains, whether it's Sinister, whether it's Apocalypse, even Magneto when he was a villain, they come off as very comic booky, but 70s, 80s, 90s comic books.
Hmm.
Bastion immediately in this episode felt like a 2000s 2010s villain, like more
Right.
of a, like he said, evolved villain. Like he's a smart villain, he's one step ahead of the X-Men at every turn. He has a plan for another plan on top of
Hmm.
a plan. That's why I think, as and like I said, I'm gonna give y'all stuff that I've been reading or hearing from the comics that connect to stuff that might be what's coming next. I think that this is leading to him probably working this as a way to, you know, get the mutants, get the humans away, as enemies of the mutants, and phrase them as liars, and then they're gonna get Kree. Kree was the leader of the Friends of Humanity. They're gonna bring him back into the play, and he's gonna run for president against Kelly. He's gonna run for
Mm.
president on an anti-mutant campaign and go against Kelly. And I think that's going to be part of this 3-part finale, is that we're going to have it on the political stage and the war going on with Bastion and Sinister versus the X-Men on the fields and around the world, apparently.
Hmm. Yeah, I can see that.
And it's very, very good. I've been very, very much liking it. Love the cliffhanger this week with Bastion having Magneto. So very good episode. Now
Hmm.
we come to the end of this episode, and we answered one of our questions about who we thought was behind this, and I said Bastion. So we got Bastion, we got Sinister. Do you think anyone else is behind this plot against the mutants with the Sentinels?
Um, said Bastion, so Sinister. I mean, you did mention Apocalypse. I mean, not Apocalypse. No, that's who I'm talking about,
Yeah,
right?
we keep seeing a because you've been watching the
Yeah.
opening credits, right? The
Right.
opening credits keep showing Apocalypse. Like
Yeah.
Apocalypse has to be involved in this because Cable keeps showing up, and Cable's main enemy is Apocalypse. So it just makes
Right.
sense that Apocalypse would be involved in this plot as well. I
Hmm.
think he's involved, and then Mystique.
Yes. Yes, I would say, yeah, I agree. I would say Apocalypse is Apocalypse, Bastion, Mr. Sinister, Mystique portraying as Cooper.
Yes, I can see that.
Yes.
I see all these people getting involved, and I'm very much looking forward to the start. Episode 8. Do you think we get Storm or Professor X returning to the X-Men?
I think it's possible. I can see Storm coming back, and I can see Storm with Forge. Like they both come together. I
Yeah,
feel like
because that's another thing we didn't mention is that
right,
Bastion was on the picture at Forge's house.
right.
So, and that is, and that, oh, shoot. That's another thing we didn't mention.
Mm-hmm.
Bastion has to be involved with the weapons, with the weapon
Yes.
that Executioner had, with the inhibitor
Mm-hmm.
collars, because
Yeah.
he worked with the Doctor and Forge and created all of this. That's what he's making the Sentinels out of. Like, yeah, I think that, yeah, Forge is going to be more important to this whole big
Mm-hmm.
story than we previously thought.
Right. Yes. So I definitely see Storm coming back and having him bringing Forge with her. I feel like they'll probably make a real epic entrance. Do I see Charles Xavier coming? I can see it, but I feel like I can see him coming like maybe during like a fight scene.
I think episode 8 we get Storm, and then
Yeah,
episode
episode
9
9.
we get we
Ex-
get Professor
Yeah.
X right at the end.
Yes, yes, that's what I'm saying. I feel like I can like if they do like a fighting scene towards the end or something, I can see him definitely coming and trying to save, and then you have that cliffhanger like, wait, what? Like, what? Like, I can see that happening, but it'll definitely leave more questions within the X-Men with Xavier.
Yeah, because it'd be like, oh, you've been fine this whole time, because he only
Mm-hmm.
left because he had been hit with that like mutant identifier thing that like gave him like a serious concussion, and he was in a coma for a bit, and he needed it to like they needed the Shi'ar technology to help his mind recover, and he was able to recover, but he still ain't come back. He should have came back after he recovered instead of saying he was dead.
Yeah. And I also see him coming with his girl with his like if he doesn't come by
Leandra.
himself, yeah, I can see him coming with Leandra.
Do you
If
think
they don't bring
Deathbird?
him,
Do you think Deathbird comes?
it's possible I can see her coming, like going after Xavier and her sister. I can see her like popping up,
Being petty.
like, oh, like, yeah, being petty, like, oh, I'm not over this. Like, yo, like we're not finished. Like I can see her coming. Yeah. It's possible. There's so many possibilities that there's so many ways that they can do this. The last 3 episodes.
Yeah, I really feel like I thought like a couple of episodes ago that we really got to have one of these 3-part episodes be a time traveling episode. We got to at least
Yes.
try to bring back Gambit. We got to try to
Yes.
stop. We got to try to stop that original Sentinel attack in Genosha. Like is Cable going to really accept that he took the L here? He couldn't save his mom.
Right?
His mom didn't even get to live. His mom just realized that she was a different person like a month ago, 2 months ago, maybe.
Who's to say that she's dead?
I mean, they ain't find her
Yet. Yeah, we don't know. We don't know. We don't know if she's alive or dead, or we don't know if okay, I don't know if this is possible, but we don't even know if maybe Bastion found her and like and like have Sinister like like brainwash her or something again.
brainwash her again. Like
We don't know.
put the diamond back in her head after she broke
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Because
Either
now she
that
doesn't
or
have Nathan to break the diamond anymore.
exactly. So we don't even know. We don't know. Like maybe put the X-Men against each other, like have Madeline like be on their side and then have her go against Jean. We don't know.
Yes.
Bastion's smart. He evolved. He got plan after plan after plan after plan. He can do something like that.
I honestly feel like there was a tipping line in this episode when they were fighting Robot Trask. When Jean says, "I can feel his consciousness still inside of him," I think one of the X-Men is going to die and they're going to be rebirthed as a Sentinel. And I honestly, at this point, I think it's going to be Gambit. I think Gambit's gonna become. They're gonna get his body. They're gonna dig his body up. and they're gonna make him a Sentinel corpse, and it's only gonna be Rogue who's able to break him and get his consciousness out of
Mhm.
there and break that.
It's possible. It's really possible because his coffin was closed,
Yes,
so we don't
we
know.
don't know. We don't know if the
Yeah,
body's in there. We don't know.
yeah.
We don't know.
And this man is smart, so he
Very
could
smart.
one up. He could one up the X-Men. Like, you see one of your own on our side.
He seems to be one step ahead of them so far.
Mm-hmm.
7 episodes
Yeah.
in. So we shall see. But let us know in the live chat, whether you're watching us on Twitter, Facebook, or YouTube. Let us know in the live chat who was your MVP for this episode, your Xavier School for the Gifted Student of the Week. Who was your LVP for this week? Who is not getting lunch next week at the Xavier School? And let us know out of 10, what did you give the show? And for me and Wendy, we will give it a thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs in the middle in 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up from both of us. Wendy, out of 10, what did you give the show?
Okay. I'm gonna give it a 9 this time.
Wow.
I like that episode. I liked it. It's just, these cliffhangers. It's like, and I think I said it. Who did I say? Oh, I said it to Josh. I was just like, because I told him, I was just like, these damn cliffhangers are pissing me off right now. And he was just like, well, that's the point. Like, that's the point of the cliffhangers. I'm like, I know, but still, I don't like it. I want to see more. God damn it. But yeah, I give it a 9 just because everything in the story and just, Bastion just finally revealing himself is like, ooh, like I can't wait for next week. Like, please make this episode longer. I'm excited.
Out of 10, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10 this week. I thought it
Mhm.
was a very good episode. I would say it's borderline great, very close to
Mhm.
great, but I would say 8 is where I landed at because I thought that it was great focus on Rogue and the aftermath of Genosha that I wanted for last week's show. I got it 1 week later. This was a nice little follow-up for what went down in episode 5. So I gave it
Mhm.
an 8 out of 10. So higher than last week, but not that much higher. I think they got
Okay.
room to get better with this
Yeah.
3-part finale. Who was your MVP for this episode?
Oh, jeez. MVP. I'm gonna go with Bastion. That man is smart. I'm gonna go with Bastion.
I mean, we're heels, so I understand
Yeah,
that.
exactly.
Giving it up to the villain.
Yeah.
I gotta go co MVP this week. I'm gonna go co MVP for Bastion because his plan is coming together, and he just feels like this 2000s 2010s villain, but I mean that in the best way possible.
Yeah.
And co MVP, the other co MVP, Rogue. She was the emotional kind of strength and drive of this episode. And I love me some angry Rogue. Her say, that's the my man. I mean, that was one of her best lines, deliveries of the whole entire season. I loved it. I loved Rogue in this episode. And that whole her invading the secret US government, she was just beast mode. I was like, oh shit. I ain't messing with no X-Men if that's the X-Men that show up. Imagine if she had more than one X-Men behind her. Like that's what she did damage, how much damage she did in this episode on her own. She deserves MVP. LVP for the episode, Wendy.
Okay, so my LVP. This is not LVP, but this is an honorable mention. My honorable mention of LVP will be Rogue because it took Gambit to freaking die for you to finally claim the man. Like, wow. Like, it took him to be dead for you to be like, that's my man. Like, my man was dead. Like, girl. Okay. So that's my honorable mention. But I would say LVP. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to give it to one of the members of the Captain America Boy Scouts, Mr. Scott Summers. Like, bro, you like, bro, what? Like,
You bitch made, homie. Why you up here crying? Why you up here crying?
you crying, talking about how like, oh, we finally got a survivor. No, bro, you're crying because it wasn't who you wanted. It wasn't Madeline. It wasn't like, you still thinking about her. Like, why are you trying to play with Jean's emotions? You're such a like they said on the chat, you're such a F boy. You're being such a F boy right now. A F boy and a simp at the same time. Like, you're my LVP. And just the fact that the whole thing, like, it just works, especially when Cable comes and he's like, oh, like, he's not for the reunion, dad. It's like, yeah, you're definitely father of the year, Cyclops. Yeah, you're LVP for me.
I gotta go co-LVP as well.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go with Bolivar Trask. You got your
Mhm.
whole shit tooken. You got your whole shit caved in, basically. You got dropped off a building. You became
Mhm.
you became what you created, a sentinel, only to get your ass kicked by a fucking electro cluster grenade. So yeah, you deserve LVP. And
Mhm.
also, yes, Scott Summers, Cyclops, my dude, you crying because you can't get the other twin. You already sleeping next to the one twin. You can't get the other twin, so you start crying. And then your son played you. You got saved in a fight by your 4-month-old son.
Yep.
He's supposed to be 4 months old. I'm sorry. I know he's not. I know he's not that now. I know he's from the future, but he's supposed to be 4 months old. But you abandoned him, so you wouldn't know.
Exactly.
Just like I was rooting for you, man. We were all rooting for you, Scott. What are you doing? What is he doing in this back half of the season?
Mm-hmm.
You got Power Driver Finisher looking smart right now.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Wendy, that brings us to a close on another review of X-Men 97. We got 3 more episodes to go. The start of the 3-part finale is this coming Wednesday, but until then, let everybody know if you want them to follow you on social media or when they will see you again.
Okay, so you guys can follow me on Instagram at Evalise21. I pop here and there on the watch-alongs. But you could definitely catch me on here on our X-Men review. I'll definitely pop up. I'll definitely be here for next week's episode. I'm so excited. You didn't really get really much of my Rogue rant today. I mean, I said stuff here and there for her, but I'll give her a pass. I'll give her a pass, even though she doesn't deserve it. But let's see what happens next week.
So mean. So mean.
What? I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry. You wait until this man dies for you to freaking finally claim him. Like, no. And then honestly, the thing is, I do like what Nightcrawler told her because she keeps saying like, oh, her man, right? Like she lost one man, but then he told her, he's like, no, you lost 2. Let's not forget. You had 2.
Shout outs to Nightcrawler. He deserves my
Yeah.
honorable mention.
Yes.
For MVP because his eulogy was tight.
Yes.
The
Oh,
card
yes, it was
eulogy with
beautiful.
him with all the card analogies, saying his tale was that he was modest.
Yes, like
How could someone so smart not realize that his own past villainy made him a hero?
a hero. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, he definitely deserved like honorable mentions as MVP. But also, he told her like it is. He told the truth, and he's like, "Why are you lying to yourself? You know, you had 2. You had 2 lovers. Like, be real."
Honorable mention for LVP to Beast for getting blue balls, literally.
Oh my gosh.
Doom. I was waiting all episode for that one. You can follow me on the Twitter machine at TrueHeelSP3. You can follow the gang Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at True Heel Heat. You can go over and check out True Heel Heat SE on social media. If you want True Hill Heat sports and entertainment content, you can get us on TikTok as well as Instagram right now. We also got our merchandise, ProWrestlingTees.com, ForYourWear.com, Patreon.com/True Hill Heat. $3 a month gets you exclusive content, the True Hill Heat Prediction Championship, plus much, much more. And check out all the great content we got here on the channel right now, like our True Hill Heat Check with our preview of the NBA playoffs. You also had our other X-Men 97 reviews for episode 4 and 5, as well as for episode 6. Check out the True Hill Heat Flash It podcast over on our main channel, True Hill Heat 274, with us talking about this week in professional wrestling with myself, Miss Chrissy Love, and the True Draw Josh. And check out Serving Facing Heels number 35, which was on at the same time as us. So if you wanted wrestling content, we had you good over here. If you wanted TV and movie content, we have you good over here. But check out the ladies, Stephanie Hypes and Miss Chrissy Love, talking about the latest in professional wrestling when it comes to the ladies. So check that out on the main channel. Check out all the great content here. Hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. So for Wendy, it is me, your True Hill Phenom, SP3. This has been our X-Men 97 Season 1, Episode 7 review. Bright Eyes. We are signing off until next time.
Bye.